So let's have a look at how osTicket works. It comes in different flavors. Those flavors were made for the different group of users who are going to be use it. On one side, there are researchers who want to send a request for assistance, and on the other hand, there are staff of Welcome Office or some other university department which are in charge for fulfilling this request and to address the problem which was reported. Before we go into specific options, let me tell you that osTicket is a web application, meaning that it works in hosted environment. It's not installed on your desktop computer, but is installed basically at your website domain, meaning that for installation, you need some support from some IT department or whoever runs and manages the website of your university. You cannot do it alone. Once they install it, you will be provided from them with links for the two different types of access. One would be for those who need assistance, and another would be for the staff of Welcome Center. Disregard this web domain here. It's only temporary one which was used to create this online course. As I said, it comes in at least two flavors. You can look, you can see at this page how the page for providing the requests for assistance look. You have some template, you have some links. Obviously, there is a form for creating a new request. Request for assistance in the dictionary of osTicket is called ticket, or any other support ticket systems. And this is the place where you can create your request if you have some problem. Let me just create one dummy request so we can work with this a little bit later. So besides this contact information, you can see the list of help topics. So basically you can choose area in which you have a problem or whatever you would like to do, and then based on the selected option, then you have an opportunity to further describe your problem. So I have filled this form for creating a new ticket, so I will click on a button, create ticket, and the support ticket request is created, as you can see. There are other buttons. There is a button for check ticket status. Obviously, now I created the request, someone will take care of it, maybe different people, maybe different departments or different teams, maybe there is some workflow behind. Remember, we were talking about those complex services, advanced services, which take some collaboration to be fulfilled. So what I can expect is that if there is some process behind fulfilling my request, there will be some progress tracking, and maybe I could have a look at this progress tracking in order to be sure that my request is handled with care and the highest level of quality. So if I want to track this ticket status, I can fulfill my email address and enter the ticket number, which I received previously, so that I can email. I will be emailed with a link to the page where I can track the progress in ticket fulfillment, ticket progress, ticket status. But also I can, if I have let's say more frequent need to contact support ticket system and to ask for some kind of assistance, I could maybe sign in and register myself to let's say use of this support center. I can, if I don't have already username and password, I can click to create an account. There is very reasonable registration form with not too many fields which I can fill, and then create a user account and then use it again to track my tickets and create new ones. So this is how it looks basically from the point of view of the person who wants to create a request for assistance. It's completely different story when we go to the page, or let's say completely different web application where there is functionality and there are some other pages and tools for managing the process behind this request fulfillment. And this is this page. Obviously, we have to first authenticate ourselves. I will be logging in with an administrator account. When you have this osTicket application installed in your hosted environment, only one account will be created, and this is this one administrator account. And then after, when it becomes public, you can expect the new users to register on this page from the, let's say, front end side, and then also you will be probably creating new accounts for your colleagues, maybe for staff from some other departments which participate in this process, and maybe even external partners. So this is the outlook of the page for the let's say new group of users who will be accessing this platform. As I mentioned, this group of users is the group of people who are working in the Welcome Office on some other place. And this page is typical for the users who belong to the role of so-called agent. So besides users, which are from now on treated as the registered users from the support tickets system homepage, there are agents, and agents are practically staff. So if you want to register your colleague who is working in international office or in some student support office, then you will create a new agent. So this person will not be registered from this page, because this is only for those who are at the front side of the ticket fulfillment, but you will be registering it at this application, this web application, because functionality is here, and you need to have some administrator privileges in order to be able to do so. So let's have a look at this page. First of all, have a look at this top right menu. Obviously, we have logout, profile. We will not be touching this, and there is a link to admin panel. So if you click on this link, you will be presented with a page of similar design, but obviously with some different functionalities. And if you take a look again at this top right menu, you will see that this admin panel is not admin panel anymore, it's agent panel. So you can go back to agent panel with this. So obviously there are different types of privileges, different types of roles. As I mentioned before, the first account that is being created when the osTicket is applied is of administrator type. So admin type or admin role is entitled to access to everything in the system. So if you have an admin role, you can work as an administrator, but also you can work as an agent. So this part, this view, which I was provided first time after logging, is the view for agents. But I can switch to the view for admins by clicking on admin panel. So let's have a look first at this agent panel. You have the horizontal menu, we have dashboard as the first option, and you have here some, let's say, visualization of the ticket activity, where you will be probably able to see the visualization of progress in ticket fulfillment. As you can see, you have some agenda here with labels created, deleted, edited, overdue. It looks like it's about ticket activity. Since we do not have tickets in our system, this visualization is empty. But at the bottom, you can see that there are some numbers, and at the top of this table, you will see the labels like opened, assigned, overdue, closed, and so on. Obviously, it's some kind of status of tickets. So tickets can be opened, created, then tickets can be assigned. So as long as when you receive, at the moment you receive the ticket, obviously it needs to be assigned to someone or some group of people or some department or some team who will be in charge for fulfillment of the request. And then there is overdue. So since there is overdue, obviously there will be some deadlines, and those overdue are those tickets whose fulfillment is passing the deadline, and they're closed, reopened, deleted. You have service time, you have response time. This response time is something that is being reported by your Access Service Center in the process called biennial statistics. And you have the rows. Rows are departments. So obviously we have departments, so we have different organizational units here. So far, what we realized is that it's possible to create new users, and the users will have different roles. Basic roles are users, agents, and admins. As we will see later, there are also some fine tunings related to the access to different features for each of those roles. Then we realized that also we have some organizational structure where we can use the departments to somehow describe offices in our university. But okay, let's go on. Let's click on these topics, and we can see the help topic: general inquiry, feedback, report a problem. This looks familiar. If you remember, when you create a ticket as a researcher, you will be presented with this list of help topics, and there is feedback, general inquiry, report a problem. So this corresponds to this list. So obviously this is something structured, and maybe this can be managed, and of course it can, and as we will be seeing later. So all these stats is not provided only per department, but also per topics. So I guess this will be very useful to see that we can somehow classify and provide very detailed view to the statistics of all the tickets that we are handling. And then we have agents. Again, the same data, but now in different contexts, in context of different agents. So here we can track productivity of the individual persons involved in ticket fulfillment. Okay, let's go on. We can see the agent directory. We can see here who are the other agents. And now you can see only there is system administrator. Maybe it's a good time to tell you that this installation that I'm showing now is, let's say, completely blank. This is something that you get immediately after installation. So you have to customize this in order to get the osTicket look like it should look, because that is the only way we can work with it. Currently, we have those, let's say, generic departments. We have some agents and users, basically only one, this system administrator. We have those topics, which are not the topics that we would like to use in production. Let's have a look at users. As you can see, there is one user created. So we did not register anyone, but if you remember, when I demonstrated the ticket creation, I also put my contact information. So osTicket understood that this is something that needs to be tracked, that I will be maybe leaving some data again, no matter if I'm going to be registered or not. So this is why user is created, and obviously it's there in the list of users. But we have also organizations, and we have only one organization. We will see later on how those organizations are used. There are tasks. Intuitively, we could easily say that it's a pretty logical thing to have some kind of task management system as part of ticket handling system, because any ticket fulfillment, any request fulfillment needs some tasks. And sometimes, especially in the case of personalized assistance, list of these tasks can be really big, and this is why we need somehow to manage it. So there is possibility to create the tasks. Those tasks can be created like they are not aligned with anything. We just create new task in the platform, but also the task can be created and affiliated directly to the ticket. As you can see here, there is possibility to enter title of the task, description, and this is interesting thing. We can have we can define the task visibility and assignment on the level of department and on the level of the user. And here we can also define the deadline. We don't want to create this at this moment. And finally, the thing that are the most interesting, this is the list of tickets created. Obviously, the ticket that I have been previously submitted is here in the list of all tickets. It has some attributes like ticket number, ticket subject. This is something that I entered. It has my first name and last name I entered in the registration form. it has priority and it is assigned normal. And we will see later how come it is by default assigned normal. At the top, below the menu directly, we could maybe do some filtering. If there are lots of tickets, we can only show those tickets which are open or answered or overdue. These are the my tickets. Directly I can show only my tickets, the tickets that are assigned to me as a user. Currently the view is like that because I'm admin user, and if I'm, let's say, regular agent, I could see only the tickets which are assigned to me. They're closed in some period of time, and that's it. I can also create a new ticket here. So if I receive the phone call, I can create a new one, new request for assistance. First of all, I will ask for some personal data, personal information from the one who's needing this request, and once I add this, then I will create some other data as it was in the case of the form that I was using as a researcher before. But also there are some other fields, and I will show you those fields later on. So let's go back to the tickets and see what's behind this one. Let's click on this need accommodation, and you can see the page which describes the request that I have just sent. Obviously there is possibility to post a reply and some other fields. You can see this is interesting response, and there is a canned response. I will show you what is canned response shortly after this. I can keep some notes. I mean, in managing this ticket, I can send the reply. I can create a task. I mean, here I can create a task which will be automatically bound, related reference to this specific ticket. I have already shown you how this form fills. It's pretty much the same, just the only difference is that it's going to be related to this task. And finally, knowledge base. Knowledge base, interesting thing. You can store some frequently asked questions. You can store some categories of frequently asked questions. Currently, this option is disabled, but because this is by default. But there is option canned responses. Those are pre-prepared answers to some typical questions. This is very useful because you can put some typical questions here and provide the answer to this typical question, and then when you receive this typical question in the form for answering, you can just select this canned response. So let's say and be rude that if someone asks for the accommodation, canned response will be sorry, no rooms available. And then I can add this response to the canned response, and I will go back to my ticket, click on my ticket, and you can see select a canned response. I needed accommodation, and this field with the response will be populated automatically. So it's easy as that, and this is very useful, you know, because in time you will realize, and probably you already know, that many of questions that you receive are repetitive. And sometimes it's nice to have some help in somehow treating or dealing with this repetitiveness. And this canned response option is very good for that. Okay, this is about the agent panel. Let's go quickly to admin panel and see what's there. So those are the tools that are typically available only to the admins. I say typically because, as I said, the roles can be fine-tuned and they can be customized. So some of the functionality can be also assigned to some specific role that we create. And you will soon see how we're going to do this. So what we have here, there is some dashboard with system logs, with some information. This is pretty technical, and we are not going to go into that in specific. Then we go to settings, and we have some sub options. There is company. So you have here the company name. So I will change this company name, let's say, and title it University of Niš, and save changes. As I said, you know, those are all pre-populated fields that come by default when you immediately after the installation of osTicket. So we are now begin to somehow customize our osTicket installation. So this is company profile, and then we have some system settings. All of them pretty technical. Then tickets. Those can be those are not so technical. Those could be interesting for us. Default status of the request, it's open by default, but there is a possibility to set up default priority. I mean, in some period of time when you have some crisis at the university, you can change this default priority for all requests from normal to high or some other priority levels. Or if you are in a vacation period, then default priority would be again maybe low, maybe not. I mean, this is just there is just possibility to set it up by default. You can set up maximum open tickets per user if you want. So users can submit currently arbitrary number of tickets, arbitrary number of requests, which is completely reasonable. But in some cases, you could also somehow restrict this to some particular number. Then we have tasks, at least settings for the tasks. Again, some default values you can set up here. Agents. Again, technical things related to the expiration of password, number of excessive logins, session timeout, and things like that. Users, very similar, and knowledge base, so we will not be looking into this anymore. Again, I'll just for the users, let me just show you something that could be important, is that sometimes you want to restrict the users that they have to be registered in order to create tickets. So then you will click on this require registration login to create tickets. Then anonymous users will not be able, make sure they cannot stay anonymous, because anyway they have to put the email and their name because they expect the answer to receive from you. But sometimes you can just say that you have to be registered before and you have to log in before submitting the ticket. Also, the registration method can be disabled, so all users who submit the tickets are guests. Public, anyone can register, and private, only agents can register users. So those are some options that could also be interesting for your implementation. Let's go to manage part and see. This is a list of help topics. So feedback, general inquiry, report a problem, access issue. Remember, those help topics were presented also at the home page at the agent panel next to the statistics. And obviously, this is something that also appears in the list of help topics on the page where you can submit the ticket. So it's nice to know that this can be managed. So we can add our topics here. And you remember we discussed about this classification of the types of services. So here we could enter this classification. We could set up new help topics like entry conditions, social security, career development, accommodation, and others. So we can create this list here. What is very nice also is that for each of the items of those lists we can assign the default priority. So some services are expected to be dealt with the highest priority, let's say maybe social security or accommodation. Some others receive the lower priority, like career development question, for example. And you can set up this priority by default. So you can have your platform automatically do the time management for you. And of course, the other useful thing is that you can allocate department for each of those help topics. Maybe not the most useful option in our case because we will have only one department, but remember, advanced services. We could also have some people from other departments or even our other organizations involved in the service provision. So when you click on a help topic, you see that there is possibility to change its name, some, let's say, forms, some new ticket options, and what we can see also is here the parent topic. So obviously we can set up not only the list of categories in which the services are provided, but also we can set up the let's say the tree in which you have this organization and branching. There are topics and subtopics, sub-subtopics, and so on. Let's go to forms. What does it mean to manage forms? You have some built-in forms and you have custom forms. You remember I told you before that osTicket support custom forms. Here is what it means. You have here ticket details, task details, company information, organization information, contact information. This ticket details is built-in form which correspond to this form, the form that is being used to create the ticket. So this form is that form. So if you add some new field here, this new field will appear after saving it, will appear on this page. So this is how you customize your form. This is how you can create a form that looks exactly, for example, like the form in your Access Services application or some other place. And obviously this is very useful. You can set up the fields, replace the fields that are previously entered, or you can maybe create some new fields. But take a look at this. There is issue summary and there is priority level. When you look at the form here, there is issue summary, issue description, but there is no priority level. This is very nice thing. osTicket enables you to create the forms where individual fields will be visible to researchers or to agents who are doing the handling of those requests. And if I click on config here next to priority level label and click on settings here, I can see here that this form field is visible only for agents, not for end users. If I change this and put the for end user and save, this form will, this element will appear at the bottom of this form. But obviously I don't need it because we don't want researchers to set up the priority for themselves. So this is very useful because that way we can create the field in which, for example, we set up the type of service. You remember sign points, posting, information provision, personalized assistance, on some other fields. As you can see here, there are places for two more fields in this form, but don't worry, when we fill up those new two fields will appear. So there will always be two empty let's say placeholders for creating a new field. And finally, let's go to the users. This is the place where we can create a new agents. So here we can click on add new agent to create a new stuff, to register new stuff. We need to enter name, email address, maybe phone number. We can create the username, maybe some other data. And then we have to create the access rights. Access rights are typically defined by the primary department. So we choose the primary department of the role. And we can also individually set up some permissions. And you have some different permissions on different objects like users, organizations, knowledge base, and others. Also, we can put newly created agent in some particular team. Let's take a look at departments. I mentioned departments. So here we can create a new one, so we can delete those that are predefined and pre-created in the default installation of the osTicket. And finally, there are roles. Currently, there are 4 groups, actually 3 groups of custom roles created. And there is no need for them there's no need to delete them. We can use them because they define some different levels of access. If we want to create this level of access, maybe we want to create some different levels. For example, in your Access Services app application, we have different access by the BHOs at the level of country. And then we have organizational leader, organizational coordinator, and we have organizational staff. So we have 3 levels of access for working with your Access Service application. So that's it. It's pretty intuitive and easy to use, and it covers, let's say, the concepts that are well known in services industry, and I'm sure that you will be able to nicely define your needs and requirements, and to facilitate the easy implementation of those requirements in the osTicket software.